At this point, I think you understand the value of inflammation at the cell. Well, this is the testing module. So there is an in-office test called the meta-oxy that you're probably already familiar with. But I want you to understand the test. More importantly, I want you to understand how important this test is. You know, we look at inflammation. You've heard me teach you already that inflammation is the cause of possibly every disease, from cancer, diabetes, thyroid, even the inability to lose weight. But not just inflammation. It's cellular inflammation. And the meta-oxy test actually shows cellular inflammation, indicates cellular inflammation, oxidation. And you know what? That's actually what
like
ages
rusting
you.
a bumper.
That's right. That's actually what ages you prematurely. Once your cells start oxidizing, inflammatory problems start, we start not feeling well. This test is very important. As a matter of fact, studies show that it's 50 times more accurate than a blood test. So that's worth its weight in gold. But Warren, what I want you to show is not only give them an understanding of how to do this test without messing anything up. And I know the office you're in, the expert there that will help you with that and show you. But I want them to understand that, and I also want to bring more value, and I want to even bring it to the cell a little more so they understand really what this test does.
I might send you to the board, Dr. Pompa.
All right. Well, show 'em.
All right, let's do it. Well, it's been a while since I've done this. So, what is this glove for?
Yeah, I was going to ask you that.
Immediately, I have 2 daughters, so I thought.
So you blow up the glove. I think that's a good idea.
I think it's a bit of an overkill, but when it comes to testing, believe it or not,
those who do not want to get urine on their hands. I'm thinking.
I have a master's level in chemistry, so it's about contamination. Because the reagent in here, which is the little tiny bit of chemical, so you don't want to drink this, obviously. You don't want to spill it and put it on your hands. So there is a reagent in here, a chemical, right, that reacts to your urine, which will just not.
You were a little bit shaky on that.
Spill that.
So.
It kind of.
I really thought that the glove was really for perhaps not wanting to get urine on your hand, but obviously it is for a contamination.
If you got urine on your
issue.
hand, but it could wash off into. This is where you would take your sample.
Can I admit something right here?
What's that?
I've never used the glove before. But Warren is down into the details.
Got to use the glove.
I knew the glove was going on.
And if you're having trouble putting the glove on. Here's one of my tricks from my old chem days.
Ah.
Yeah, or, well, I must have big hands. Look, this isn't working. So if you have the same problem.
It's the O.J. Simpson trowel.
So if
the
you're having trouble
remember when
with
the glove was going on? Am I the only one that remembers that?
The trick.
He was too young for that, I guess.
I don't think it's working because it's making it more humid. I'm used to the powdered ones.
But anyway, you laugh at my joke. I thought that was hilarious. It looked like the O.J. Simpson when he was in trial trying to get he was trying to get the glove on.
I'm still focused on the glove off. So I hope you don't have trouble with the glove. But if you do, take it off and try not to pee on your hand or contaminate the sample. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
And here's your reagent. It is a chemical. You don't want to spill it. You don't want to drink it. But it's such a simple test, guys. And let me show you how to do it. The cellular healing specialist, certified specialist in the office that you're in, or the physician will send you to the restroom, bathroom. You'll go in. You'll take just the cup with you. You'll get a sample. You have your glove on. Maybe it'll break. You'll run into what I did. You throw it away. Just be careful so you don't contaminate the sample, because there could be something on your hand, a chemical.
Wash your hands, honestly. Yeah,
you put stuff on your face. I mean, you just want to be careful with that. So get a clean sample because it can contaminate it. All you're going to do is pull up into the pipette. Bring everything in the bathroom with you, actually.
Actually, and this is important, right to that line, 1 milliliter, that is 1 milliliter right there. The 1 milliliter mark is on there, and that's very important because too much or too little can throw like that's too much. You don't want that.
That's too much.
But you want it to be exactly on the line of 1 milliliter. It does say that in the instructions, but be precise. Don't estimate. A guy like me just comes in, throws it in. Warren's very precise. So be a Warren in this case. Be very precise with that measurement.
Bring it up, bring it up, bring it up, and you'll see the line. It doesn't have to be perfect.
I think bringing more and then emptying it slightly is typically the idea. It's easier to empty than it is to suck it up to the right line.
So there is 1 milliliter.
Boom, got it.
So there's an extra drop. It looks really good.
There it is. Does that say 1 milliliter on there?
Yep.
It does. Okay,
so that's about perfect right there.
Mm-hmm.
So now that you have it in there, even if it's up here, it's okay at this point because you know it's 1 milliliter. So
I think we made the point that it's 1 milliliter. I think we really made that well.
Put that down there, and then you just drop it in.
There you go. How long do you wait?
I think the instructions say
1 to 3 minutes.
1 to 3 minutes or 2 to 3 minutes. Well, you're going to have this actually. It's in your resources. And
it is 1 to 3 minutes. I think 2 minutes is typically what we say on average.
so are we going to sit here for 2 minutes, Dr. Pompa?
Yeah.
No. Okay.
No.
So then what do we do after that? I guess I'm supposed to say that.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
I'm
look what
gonna
I do
hold
with this glove.
I'm going to hold this because I'm worried
I'm a little-
after the glove. So now we're looking at, and this is typically what's explained. But look, you want to be between 1 and 2, and that's showing a normal amount of cellular oxidation, and this is the safe zone. If you're a 3, you're okay. You're pretty decent. You've got some oxidation, some inflammation. If you're, let's go to the other end. If you're a 6 or a 7, this is not the only 3-month detox that you're going to need to do. You will have to repeat it maybe in a month or 2. You will have to do another 3 months, I assure you. So you definitely don't want to be down this end. And I think the people in the 3 or 4s, by the end of this, you should move right down by the end of the 3-month True Cellular Detox program. Now, with that said,
What happens if you're always stuck up here? What could be going on there,
yeah.
Dr. Pompa?
And again, most of the time when we see people stuck up here, there is something upstream, a toxic source, maybe that you're being exposed to on a daily basis, frequently, or there's something upstream that you still have to deal with. Silver fillings, they're constantly leaching mercury into your body every day. That could keep you over here on the too high side.
But don't do
and
anything with that.
inflammatory.
Make sure you talk to
Yeah,
your
make sure you talk to
certified
your-
True Cellular Detox specialist about that.
That's right, because you don't want to just get your silver fillings out. Very important point. We actually have a pre-program, which actually this program here is the perfect pre-program, actually, Warren, to getting them out. However, a biological dentist, a safe dentist is key.
And a True Cellular Detox
And we always ask
specialist
no
to
doubt,
walk you through.
No doubt. But the IAOMT.org
Yep.
is where you can find a biological dentist. Most likely, the office that you're in may be able to direct you to one locally, but that can also find doctors that are locally for that. So we don't want to just pull out fillings. But anyways, to the point, there's something upstream. It could be a moldy home. It could be a toxic exposure environmentally.
It could be that we went out partying last night.
We will get there. We'll get there. But we've had people literally live downwind of certain factories, and it's literally driving cellular inflammation. So the point that I want them to
What a great
understand,
test then.
is what are these things? And in your resources, we have some toxins and how to make your home safe, and toxins, how to make your environment safer. That's really important to look at.
Yeah, your
those.
household, cleaners could. If you're using chlorine and then you take this test, say you decided to wash your bathroom and make everything white, and you're using Clorox. I mean, that's a massive toxin.
Yeah, especially if you used it the night before. So, just some things
I'm
to
getting
think
nervous
about.
holding this urine, so
right, let's go.
this is messy. Can someone clean this up?
Well, one of the things that Warren actually alluded to was the fact that there are some things we don't want you doing that potentially could throw this test off. Number 1 is drinking a lot of alcohol the night before. That actually can throw the test off. There's something that you're measuring. It's called maltodextrin. And maltodextrin actually shows oxidation of the cellular membrane. Maltodextrin can be thrown off by alcohol. So we don't want to drink a lot of alcohol. Also, you don't want to do like a hard workout, come into the office, and they give you the test. After a hard workout, it could drive temporary oxidation, looks like inflammation. So no hard workouts.
That's an important point.
No wine. Yeah, so
Yeah.
or alcohol. So okay,
When
you said no
when you
wine,
work out,
and then they're drinking.
Just so you know, when you work out, you're causing oxidative stress. You're rusting your bumpers because your body has to deal with the hormone cascade, the cortisol, like all the things that are going on. So it does cause oxidation at the cellular level.
Well, listen.
but let's talk about that. Why don't we just send you to the board?
Anything that I
Send
said.
them to the board.
I said anything that's important. I said we'll bring it to the board. So let's go to the board.
Let's do it.
Back at the board. And as you can see, Warren decided that he had to get that glove on. Typical Warren. He is focused on
Got
the
it.
details.
Give yourself at least 5 minutes, and you can't get it on too.
Okay, I said everything that's really important I bring to the board. We talk about cellular inflammation, but I really did want to bring it into context once again. And you just think I love drawing these circles, and I think I do. But if this is the cell, when we're talking about inflammation, we are talking about inflammation of the cell. This is really where the Medoxy is measuring the inflammation. So, you know, proxy or maltodextrin is what they're actually measuring along this membrane as a marker that comes off when inflammation or oxidation is occurring. So it's very specific for the fatty layer, which is called a lipid bilayer of the cell membrane. Now, I think what I really want to do here is just remind you of the significance of this, because, you know, I always tell people, look, if this test were $1,000, $2,000, it would be worth it. And what I mean by that is the fact is that this shows cause. And to me, that's worth, well, I don't know how you put a price on it, because most tests that people spend a lot of money on, it's really not showing cause. You know, this test does. And we've talked about inflammation being the cause of so many things, from, you know, cancer to diabetes to thyroid issues, and even why people can't lose weight.
It's the chiropractic philosophy.
Yeah, no doubt. So if it's showing the cause of something, and that's why I brought you back to the board, because, you know, I spoke about this in some past videos. These are the hormone receptors, vitamin receptors, everything that happens in your body. And I'll use thyroid hormone again as my example. Thyroid hormone, yeah, your thyroid makes it, but that's really not where the magic happens. What happens is the thyroid hormone has to attach to the cell, but not specifically, but that little receptor. When that doesn't happen because of inflammation, then what happens is it's not getting its message in the cell. Therefore, it doesn't matter how much thyroid hormone that you have. If it's not getting in the cell, it's not working. So I gave you an analogy of shouting at their kids in the last video. Let me give those of you who don't have kids an analogy, because I think I left you behind. Look, if you had a car, and, you know, I don't know that this happens anymore. I don't see them. But remember they used to have the locks on the gas tank? Well, let's say that it was locked, you didn't have the key. Your car ran out of gas, and you have your gas, but you can't get the gas in the car. So you decide, I'm just going to dump the gas on the car. Is that really going to work? No, you have to get the gas in the car. So the point is you can take more hormones, dump the gas on around the cell, but ultimately you have to get it in. See, cellular inflammation blocks that process. So the question I think that we all should ask ourselves is, what's causing cellular inflammation? And I'm going to remind you, even though I said it, we talked about bad fats, like vegetable oils or rancid, even rancid fish oils, by the way. It comes in, they attach to the membrane. Fat attracts fat. This cell membrane is fat. So what happens is then it drives inflammation. Glucose, that's why we say, look, exchange the grains you're eating or get rid of them. Because every time you raise up glucose and insulin, you massively drive cellular inflammation.
And I watched that video with Meredith, exchange your oils.
Absolutely.
I watched that video, it's a great video.
You know, and by the way, diabetics, they don't ever die from diabetes.
Right.
They die from complications of inflammation. You know, increase in heart disease, increase in cancer, you know, thyroid issues. I mean, all of it is complications because they raise up glucose and insulin, even when they're taking their medication, and it drives the inflammation every time you spike glucose. The last one, the third cause, the big one, toxins. Toxins come in, and fat holds on to toxins. This is a fat layer, this membrane, and it comes in. These toxins stick to that cell membrane, and it drives inflammation. And remember, once that membrane is inflamed, you can't get the good stuff in, and you can't get the bad stuff out. That flow that has to happen in and out of that membrane does not happen when this membrane is inflamed. That's why we want to test for that. So when you see your test going from...
Oh, it's dark now, because it sat too long.
This side, that's right.
I feel protected, though.
Yeah, but, you know, he's normal. But anyways, when we see it move down into here, we know that this membrane is becoming more fluid. We know that this membrane is now allowing things to come in and bad stuff to come out. Remember, toxicity is right here. When this cell, the toxins can't come out, the cell becomes very toxic. And I don't know that I made this point earlier, and I want to make it now. I talked about how your cells have these little factories called mitochondria where you make energy. I talked about ATP, I know. But when you make this energy in these factories, well, think about it. Think about a factory. What does a factory give off?
Toxins.
Toxins.
Waste.
Smoke, right?
Smoke,
we see the smoke coming up, and that's a big deal, right? People
Especially
make a big deal
here in
about it.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Well, is it any different when you make energy in your cell?
No.
No. Well, it's not smoke, but you're giving off byproducts that your body has to get rid of. When this membrane's inflamed, those toxins that you make just when you make normal energy, it happens every day and to all of us. And by the way, when you exercise, you actually can make more. So they can't get out if the membrane's inflamed. So now, and I talked about this, here's your nucleus with your DNA. Now you start turning on bad genes that you don't want to express. So yeah, maybe you have a thyroid susceptibility like your mom, but it doesn't mean you get thyroid disease. That gene has to be triggered. We know these toxins that build up in the cell can actually trigger that gene. It's called epigenetics or gene expression. And we know that if we detox the cell, cellular detox, we can actually, eventually that DNA can be turned off. And that's really where my 5 R's, that is really the first component of true cellular detox. We have to get this cell working. We have to downregulate this inflammation, R number 5. We have to regenerate that cell membrane, R number 2. We have to restore cellular energy, R number 3. And ultimately, we have to remove the sources, R number 1. R number 5 is methylation, which is a big part of detoxing the cell. So, I tell you all that, I remind you all that because we have a test that really isn't worth, I don't know, because it's showing this oxidative process that happens at this membrane that interferes with every process. And Warren, you hear me say this all the time. People can't lose weight today. It's not as much as they think about what they're eating or how much they're exercising. It is about hormone issues. So when your cells can't hear these hormones that are involved in weight loss, I talked a little bit about leptin and insulin last time. Now you become hormone resistant, meaning you can't hear the hormones. Taking more works short term at best, but it's not getting to the real cause, and that's the cellular inflammation. So taking more hormones isn't the answer. This is why people are struggling to lose weight. This is why people are walking around in brain fog, can't sleep, have anxiety. Low energy.
So we have how many cells do we have?
Got to get the message in the...
They said how many?
Some 50 to 70 trillion cells. And I think that's what people have to understand is that we do have 50 to 70 trillion cells. And sometimes I refer to this bucket theory, and I'm not going to throw you off too much, but I do want to show them this.
This is why you need to watch every video, guys, because this is incredible information.
Yeah. So from the time you're in mommy's belly, in utero, you get mommy's toxins. My kids were exposed to a lot of lead that my wife had, and during pregnancy, women lose bone. It's normal. But lead is stored in the bone. And the lead came out of my wife during pregnancy as she lost normal bone, but the lead came out. And that lead went into my children, and it started causing them digestive issues. So that was a big exposure. Now, we start vaccinating children to death today. We never got the amount of vaccinations that kids are getting today. Possibly you get some mold in the home. Multiple toxins. They start wearing cosmetics and creams. And the list goes on. Look at our toxic sources today. Eventually, your bucket, if this is a bucket that we all have, genetically, some of us have smaller buckets. Some of us have bigger buckets. Doesn't matter. Life exposures can bioaccumulate, especially if the cell's pathways start to slow down. If it's not getting rid of toxins, you start storing toxins. So think of yourself as having 50 trillion. That's how many cells approximately, 70 trillion, it's estimated 50 to 70 trillion, little buckets that are filling up. Bioaccumulating, stockpiling toxins from the time you're in utero, and then all of a sudden you get that one thing. In my case, I had 2 silver fillings drilled out. 2 days later, the fatigue started. Then it went from fatigue to anxiety. Then it went from that to being not able to eat anything. I was allergic to this. Then it went to debilitating fatigue, then debilitating anxiety and sleep problems, hormone problems, just like I explained. What happened was when I got those fillings out, even though I had fillings put in down here and mercury was going out of those fillings every day, bioaccumulating. That's why most countries have outlawed these, except right here in the United States, right?
Go U.S.
Yeah, and by the way, it's brought before Congress, Warren, almost every year is literally an outcry, public outcry, because the research shows that these things are not safe to be put in humans. So despite what the dentist may believe from his ADA, telling him that it's okay, it's not. But the point is that bucket fills. One day, maybe you have an emotional stress, or like I did, just, they drilled into the filling, vaporized, more mercury. That's why we said don't run and get them taken out. the bucket overflows.
And it could be a physical stress too. I had a physical stress. I had whiplash, and
Well,
it
and
sent
that's
me
the
over,
point, getting adjusted. That's physical stress on the central nerve system.
which affects your cells
Absolutely.
and inflammation.
That's why you're in an office that gets this. You get rid of physical stressors on the central nerve system and chemical stressors. That right there is what I wish every practice understood and did. So you're in a special place that understands that. But when you combine the two, that's when magic happens. Remember, in the day, Warren, when you were sick, you literally had me adjusting you every day because the adjustment would take off that physical stress. Empty that stress bucket, if you will, just enough that where you felt normal again.
Yeah, I literally couldn't function without it.
But it wasn't until we got our buckets emptied that it actually, we actually felt better permanently. We could handle more stressors. See, when your bucket's full, and sometimes when I like to get 2 glasses of water, and I fill one up to the top, and I fill one halfway, and I stress them. Now, the one, put that down. So the one that's near the top doesn't handle much stress without spilling over and causing symptoms, right?
I'm going to do
That's many of you watching this. He just did it. So he's going to want to clean that now. There's something right there.
Wait, I got it.
See, right there. He wanted to clean it earlier. That's why that towel was there.
You made the O.J. Simpson comment. I'm going to make the Michael Jackson comment. I'm the Michael Jackson of healthcare, baby.
All right, we're going to bring this back, I promise. So when we put a little bit of stress on that, when the bucket's right near the end of toxins, they spill, they cause symptoms. Many people, you're there. We have to get that bucket. Remember, this bucket could be loaded up with emotional stressors, physical stressors. Getting adjusted helps empty that. Think of 50 trillion of these. Obviously getting rid of the toxins at the cell, true cellular detox, that empties the bucket. Once we get the bucket emptied, now you're not spilling it over, causing the symptoms. The lower the bucket, the more stress you can take. Emotionally, chemically, physically, the more you can take. Good athletes, it's all about recovery.
Right.
The lower their bucket, the more stress they can recover from. So we want to get the bucket lower. Once that's overflowing, that's not good. So to pull it all in,
So
the
this test is
meta-oxy
important.
is a good measurement of where your bucket is.
I want to take it again.
Yeah, no doubt. So I hope that helps. And if you have any more questions, obviously the expert in the office there can help you. So
Thanks, guys.